Hello beautiful people, welcome to Miss Nyandira studio, and this week I'm going to show you how to make cinnamon rolls. So cinnamon rolls is a type of pastry that is normally made with a filling of cinnamon and sugar and can be glazed by either buttercream, cream cheese, frosting, whipping cream, chocolate ganache, or any other type of frosting. So now let's get started with the ingredients. We have flour, sugar, warm water, yeast, melted butter, salt, essence, sugar, and cinnamon for the filling. So we are first going to add our yeast to our warm water. Now the water should be warm and not hot, because when you use hot water, you're going to deactivate the yeast. Stir it a little bit. Then you're going to set it aside and let the yeast do its thing. And then we're now going to start with the flour. We're going to add in our sugar for the taste. Now here we won't add much sugar because we'll use much sugar in the cinnamon filling. Add your salt. Whisk it up. Then we're going to add in our melted butter. We're going to mix it. So it's now time to add in our yeast mixture. We're going to fold it using our rubber spatula. Now you want to make sure that everything is fully incorporated. You have to add a little bit of water at a time. Now when doing this process, you don't have to hurry. Slowly keep adding in your water, making sure that the dough is in the right consistency, because you're also going to again let this dough rest for almost 30 minutes for it to double in size. So we have to make sure that the yeast mixture is fully incorporated in the flour mixture. So the vanilla essence, you can add it when you're mixing in your flour and your butter. But honestly, I forgot to add the essence, so I had to just sprinkle it on top of the dough. Now it's time to cover our dough in a cling film or paper towel or foil. So this will help it to double in size quickly. And we're going to leave our dough at room temperature and let the yeast do its thing. It's now time to make our cinnamon filling. So the filling is made of cinnamon and sugar. So I'm going to add in our cinnamon to the sugar. Well, at this point, I never really measured the amount of cinnamon that I'm going to add in the sugar, but I just made sure that the cinnamon is conk enough so that you can have that cinnamon flavor. So we're going to mix it all up together. Now using our knife or spoon, I'm going to make sure that everything is all mixed up. And once I feel like everything is done enough, I'm going to set it aside. And we'll go back to working on our dough that has been resting for 30 minutes now. It's not doubled in size, so I can proceed by kneading, adding a little bit of flour. Now this is a very important step when making pastries. Always give your dough the time to rest. And if you're using baking powder or baking soda or even the yeast, that you can let the leavening action to take place slowly and efficiently and effectively. So I'll start by kneading the dough using my clean hands. I'm going to spread a little bit of flour on my pastry mat. If you have no pastry mat, you can just use your clean working surface. Now keep kneading, and if you notice that the texture of your flour is a little bit too smooth or it's watery, you can go ahead and add in a little bit of flour. Now use your hands to notice the texture of the flour and of the dough, Now it's time to make and prepare our baking tin. So I'll sprinkle a little bit of flour, and using our parchment paper, I'm going to measure and cut the right amount of parchment needed, or rather the right size of parchment needed. The parchment paper helps the dough to bake evenly, and it also prevents it from sticking onto your pan, especially when you're trying to remove it from your pan after everything is baked. Now using my clean hands, I'm going to carefully line it in the pan. Now I love cutting excess of the parchment paper because when you're trying to remove your pastry from the pan, you can just easily pull it by the sides. And now it's time to add our filling in our dough. So I'm going to roll out the dough, spread it farthest, roll it thin, not thin, but a little bit thin. And you're going to make sure that each and every side of the dough is level. In short, your dough is leveled around all corners, in the middle, and also around the edges. Now, to prevent the dough from sticking on your working surface, you can always add in flour. Now ensure that the dough is leveled, and once I'm happy with how the dough looks, I'm not going to start applying my butter or margarine. Now this is going to act as a glue for the filling to the dough, so you have to make sure you spread a generous amount of butter or margarine. Spread it across all the corners of your dough. Now for it to be a cinnamon roll, we have to get that cinnamon flavor. Now this filling is like the main ingredient for this cinnamon. So I'm going to spread a very generous amount of cinnamon sugar mixture into our dough. So remember, we never put a lot of sugar in our dough while you're in the making process. So you want to add in the sugar and the cinnamon generously so that it can also have a good taste, and we can also feel the cinnamon flavor well. Now using my knife, I'm also going to again help it to spread across the dough. And also, it is also going to help the cinnamon mixture to stick onto our dough. And once I feel like everything is now fully incorporated and I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to roll my dough. And now we are going to cut our rolls. Now I like measuring my rolls, and measuring not just my rolls, but measuring most of my pastries. This helps me to get the right and the same size of rolls or pastries. So I won't tell you the exact measurements for this one because it will depend with your size, the size of your entire dough, and also how big or how small you want your product to be. So using a cutter, I'm going to cut in between. And I'm going to get the pan that we had set earlier, and I'm going to arrange the rolls. One thing I noticed with the baking is that we always have no control of how our goods are going to bake and turn out. So that's totally beyond our control, so we don't really have to stress about it all. Now I'm going to give them spacing. Spacing is of importance, and like I said, we don't always have control over how our products are going to bake. Some doughs may choose to spread far, others may choose not to, so you should always give them spacing and give them enough room to bake evenly and also to spread well. So I'm then going to wash with our milk. So if you don't have milk, you can use egg. In the meantime, preheat your oven and bake these wonderful rolls for 10 to 15 minutes or until it's golden brown. Once baked, you can add your favorite topping and you can have them with your favorite beverage. I prefer mine with milk. Now look at that. It looks amazing. Now make sure you subscribe to Miss Nyandira for some amazing pastries every week. And thank you guys for watching. See you next week.